week later, I was out of the hospital. And I sat down with my oncology team and I said, chemo. And they said, yeah, it's maintenance. I go, no, not anymore. We're done with that maintenance. Now, I got the opportunity in May to start a drug under a clinical trial called Defiantly. Okay, so it was an immunotherapy drug. In August, it got its FDA approval. And so I went from the clinical trial and I got the opportunity to stay on Defiantly. And that's where your immune system fights the cancer itself. So I said, no more chemo, but I will do the immunotherapy drugs. Now, the scary thing about this drug is it can work good for a while, and they can decide to attack your eyes, your lungs, anything. And it had a certain death factor to it, right? People that would die from it. And they might have had success for a while, but all of a sudden it decides to attack your body. So far, it hasn't with me. And, I keep my fingers crossed, knock on a little bit of wood here, and I've been blessed, but I also started looking at alternative stuff at the time. And I said to my significant other who tried to bring me some things early on, one was a dog deworming medicine called probenzazole. And I was like every other normal guy out there, like, I am not taking any kind of dog deworming medicine. Okay, I'm not going to ever take some stupid stuff like that. Well, one thing I've learned along this journey is you never say never. So I decided to go on the Fen-Phen protocol. Well, I did that right around the same time I went on immunotherapy. And I tell everybody, look, hey, it works because I ain't got no worms, right? So I know it's working because I have 0 worms. Right? So people were like, that's funny, Marshall. I'm like, but no, what's happened since I stopped chemo in July of 22, and I went on this protocol and I'm just doing the immunotherapy, is that we have had 0 progression in the cancer. 0. That is basically, the way they describe it is my cancer is not in remission. It's not stopped. What it's done is it's basically on a yellow flag. If it was a NASCAR race, it's a yellow flag. It's sitting there, still burning, right? Gas, fuel. Okay, so it's eating caloric, and at that time, what's happening is now it's speeding up. So if somebody were to look at a picture of me and 281 pounds, I'm 197 today. Okay, so it's burning more fuel than I can put in. Easiest way for me to explain it. And it's speeding up a little bit because I took a couple months off of my protocols through December and January this last year. So I don't know if that's why we're seeing some speed up, because I took a little bit of time to give my body a break from its protocols. So here we are, 2023 goes by. I'm living a pretty good life. And here we are 20 months past my expiration date. Here I am coming into February 2024, which I had not even anticipated in any way, shape, or form. That I never expected to see this time. Mm-hmm. I turned 55 in December, never expected to see 55. Okay. The charity became my drive. So I was taking a trip at the beginning of August. I get the call. We have some friends in the car with us. Call comes across speaker. It's my doctor. Hey, I've got your results for the biopsy and everything of that nature. And I'm like, go ahead and talk. And he's like, yeah. He says, well, I just want to tell you it's stage 4 intrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma. I said, okay. And in real terms, what does that mean? And so he explained it to me. And that's when I said, well, and of course, the people in the car, they're Googling what the life expectancy is of the stage 4 cholangiocarcinoma patient. and they're seeing 6 to 15 months on their little Google searches. And he says maybe 9 to 12 months at best. But we believe we have we can resect. So we think we can get this. Mm-hmm. But if you do nothing, 9 to 12 months. And I'm like, okay. Get off the phone. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. And everybody's like, the whole car is quiet. And they just look at me like, they just said you have 9 to 12 months if you do nothing. I'm like, yeah, it is what it is, guys. And I'm not going to let it ruin our trip. So we pull into New York City that night. And we go out, we get some pizza. We're just bullshitting. People are just having a good time. And they're just, and the friend, Lance, who's with me, he looks at me and goes, they just told you have cancer, that you're going to die in 9 to 12 months if you don't do anything. I'm like, yeah, okay, it is what it is, man. He goes, how are you not more afraid? I'm like, why would I let it ruin what I'm doing, bro? Why let something take away from living that's not, I have no control over, right? I have no control over what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. All I can do is live at the moment that we're having right now. This is an amazing opportunity. We're in New York City. Let's go have some pizza, man. Right? So we go down to Two Brothers. We grab some slices, and we're just laughing and having a beer and just having a great time. We leave New York City after a couple days. We'd seen the 9/11 museum. We'd done everything we wanted to do. One of the days we walked 26.7 miles and everybody's like, will you slow down? Here you are sick and you're faster than everybody else here. I'm like, it is what it is, guys. So we end up going and we saw the Lizzie Borden house and Waltham and Mass. And then we end up Newport, Rhode Island. Now this is 8 days after my diagnosis. We're in Newport, Rhode Island, amazing area. They have all these beautiful mansions, okay, from the Vanderbilts and all that golden era of the United States time. And we're talking the Vanderbilt summer. This is their summer home. It's 140,000 square foot home. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And you're just, I don't know if anybody ever sees my Facebook, but there's a picture of me like this looking up. And I'm looking up at the breakers at that moment. And I remember talking to God and saying, God, if I had this Vanderbilt money, I could change the world. And it was like an instant slap across my face. I just remember feeling this slap right across my face, and hearing, you don't need their kind of money. You can change the world a single person at a time, one person at a time. And Angela at the time was taking that picture. I had no idea. So that's why that picture's become so important to me, because it was the exact moment that I decided to start dying defiantly. It was the moment in my mind that I was talking to God that I wanted to do something that would leave something beyond me, right? That we all talk so much about what our return on our investments will be, right? And at that point, I wanted to make it, what will be my ripple of impact? What will happen beyond my time? And we all talk about, throwing a rock into the pond and seeing those ripples go out. But they start bigger in the middle usually, and they get smaller as they go further out. I wanted to change that dynamic. I wanted to make it that when we threw it in, that the ripples start and they grow into tsunamis. They grow into these massive waves that don't just continue out. They go out with force and power and become something so amazing that it will live on long beyond our time. And then, of course, ROI changes. So we know about return on investment. We talk about our ripples of impact. But what happens in the very end? We get to redeem our inheritance, the promise that God, Christ, has given us of eternal life. So why is there anything to be afraid of, right? There's nothing to be afraid of. Hey, in the worst case scenario, the promise, none of that's real, I'm not going to know anyways, right?
Right.
So why be upset about it? Right. But having faith and believing that this redemption of my inheritance from God is there, it makes things so easy to let go of everything in an instant. And I can tell you this, at that moment, cancer became a blessing to me. Cancer became a blessing to me because what it did is it wiped away everything that society had put on me. A little bit of success had led to some ego. A little bit of success had led to a little materialism, not that I still don't have a little bit of it, right? But, still, it got away, and it took away the self-centeredness. It said to me in an instant, I'm going to take away all of that. And what I'm going to leave behind is this heap of clay for you to remold in an image that your friends, your family, and God all can be proud of. And that's what it did for me. Dying Defiantly started out as I knew God gave me this wonderful gift. He gave me the gift of no sad days. He told me that you're going to be sick. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but you're never going to have a sad day. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to pass that on to others. I wanted people to realize that we make the days, that cancer is just a word, it's not a sentence, okay? It doesn't define who you are or the actions that you have. That cancer, as nasty and as terrible as it is, can bring some amazing things to you, okay? Some clarity, some understanding, the ability to become a better person. And so as terrible as cancer is, it forces us to look at the things that are the most important at that time. It forces you to face it head on, right? And I know some people are out there, I don't want to talk about death because if I talk about death, I'm accepting that. Look, man, death is just part of life, right? So if you're going to live, you're going to die. It's that simple. And that's the whole idea, right? From the moment we're born, we begin to die. And so to me, it's like you've got to just accept it, right? It's all about acceptance. It's understanding that, hey, things are going to be what they're going to be, okay? I can't change everything. I can't effectively make things happen, right? Look, who doesn't want a miracle? People are like, well, what about miracles? Or what about, hey, sometimes God's miracles aren't full restoration. Sometimes it's just a few extra years to get some things done, right? So I've got a few extra years so far. God's blessed me with 20 extra months beyond what every doctor thought I would be. I remember sitting in that hospital July of 22. I remember thinking to myself, okay, this is it, man. This is how I'm going to go out. And at that point, I'd already taken care of everything I needed to take care of. Trusts were set up. Everything was in place. I knew. I got the opportunity where some people that don't, the people that have heart attacks and are gone in an instant, people in an accident going home tonight from work, die instantly in a car wreck, they don't get the chance to say goodbye. They don't get the chance to make sure everything's in order. I got that opportunity. And now I've had the opportunity to not only see that, live it, but to bring the effects of what it's done to me to others through Dying Defiantly. We focus on, terminally ill veterans, first responders, Gold Star families, but we do not refuse anyone. If anyone calls me, I don't care if you're military, I don't care if you're a veteran, I don't care what it is, I will never turn a person away that is asking for help. Because somebody said to me once, we do a $13 a month called, Be a Blessing program. Somebody said to me, why did you pick 13? Such an unlucky number. Like now, in 1 Corinthians 13:13, God says that faith, hope, and love abide. But the greatest of those is love. And what better way to show love than to be there for people in their darkest hours? To be there when they can't be their own light. Like my whole idea of Dying Defiantly was, let me be your light until you can be your own light. Let me be the hand that picks you up when you don't think there's anyone in there to pick you up. Let me be the voice of reason when there doesn't seem to be reasons, right? It's all about being there for somebody else. Dying Defiantly started out mostly as I don't want to say counseling, but it was counseling. Okay. End of life counseling. That's what it started out, majority of what I was doing early on. And it has grown to where I'm doing 50 or so calls a week with individuals that are facing terminal illnesses. So what I use during when I'm talking to this, and I tell people, look, I don't ever call it counseling because no one wants to be counseled when they're dying. Okay. It's a call, a catch-up call. Just calling to catch up with a friend. Right. And I've got a lot of friends now. Okay. And people that I talk to on a pretty regular basis, usually every 10 days, I cycle around. And we use a lot of neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, well, I do anyways, personally. What neuro-linguistic programming does is it takes away, it helps us through the use of words, take away negative belief systems. Okay, we all have it, right? I call it BS. We all have BS in our brains, right? BS we tell ourselves. Okay, I try to take that negative BS, negative belief system, and turn it into a positive belief system. I challenge those individuals to do something. I give them small challenges that I know that they can effectively make and accomplish within the next 10 days. So that when I call them, we have something to celebrate, something to say, what an amazing opportunity. Holy cow, this. And then I challenge them the same way to give me a challenge, right? And a lot of them think that I'm some kind of Superman because I don't always show how sick I am, right? To me, people will look at me and think, oh, wow, you're in great shape. You're healthy. You're this. That's because that's the way I present, right? We all put on our face every day. We all put on our mask and we go out and we show the world who we are. So I put on my mask every day, right? And I try to be the best version of myself every single day, no matter what I'm facing, no matter what's going on in my own body. Sometimes I'm a little detrimental to myself because I do try to do more than sometimes my body wants me to do. And so I'll push myself a little too hard sometimes. And I find myself sometimes after that being down a week or so. But, you can still make phone calls. And you can still present over a phone in a very high and positive attitude, and you just continue to be there for individuals. And that's what we do. And so it's developed into more programs since then. We advanced the programs into, we have a program right now called Excursions. And so I was talking to a military doctor for about a year and a half. And I asked him, he is home on hospice now, and he's now gone. But me and him were talking, and I said, hey, is there anything that you regret? Not going a chance to go see something, go somewhere? He goes, Marshall, my regrets are this. I wish I had really pushed harder for what I knew was the medical treatment that I needed. Right? He knew where he needed to go, but he was trusting in his people to take him there. So he was a little upset that he didn't advocate more for what he wanted to do. I said, okay, is there any places that you didn't get a chance to go do something? And he goes, I always wanted to sail a boat to the Greek Isles. I said, wow, that would have been awesome. I said, what if I can make that happen for you? He goes, what do you mean? What if I can make that happen without you ever leaving your house? So I reached out to Zuckerberg, okay, trying to say, okay, because now he owns the virtual reality company at the time, which I'm trying to remember the name of what it was he bought. Now it's his Meta, okay? So now it's Meta. So I reached out to Meta and thinking, hey, maybe they would like to step on board and invest. Yeah, they come back to me and say, hey, we'll give you a small discount. I'm like, oh, well, thanks, okay? So I went out and bought a couple pairs of virtual reality goggles, and I started getting with the companies that they work with that basically will take you anywhere in the world, You want to go to the Sistine Chapel? You want to go to the Eiffel Tower? These are all been drones have flown through, have gone through. You can walk through. They have camera angles from every different, it's basically like you're there. And they just so happen to have one sailing through the Greek Isles. And so we got the opportunity to bring the goggles to him, let him experience an hour and a half long virtual bucket list of things that he wanted to do, places that he wanted to go. Well, that developed into an amazing program that's I get requests now that are outside of our own organization, hospices that have heard about the program that want us to be involved. We do gift bags for the oncology wards at the VA hospitals. Just in January 1st, we were out there, 75 gift bags, everything you could want when you're in the hospital that you don't get. Fingerless gloves, right? Because you get cold, right? But you want your fingers still to use. Beanies, clean underwear, right? I mean, just everything that you want. Now, they wouldn't let me bring food because everybody has dietary restrictions. But as I was walking through there, I had a veteran who had been in since August 8th, and his family had not come to see him anymore. And he's basically dying. And he can't walk, so he can't get up and get his own stuff. And they've got him on some dietary restrictions because they want to prolong his life as long as he possibly can. And I looked at him and I said to him, if you could have anything you wanted right now, what would it be? He goes, man, I would kill for a Reese's peanut butter cup. So I looked at him, I said, man, I will be right back. I walk out, my fiance, Angela, looks at me and she goes, where are you going? I'm like, I'll be right back. I went down to the vending machine. I got a Reese's cup and I brought it back to that man. And you would have thought I gave him a gold brick. He was so happy. You know, to me, when you're dying, I don't care who you are. It's those small things. It's sometimes the simplest little thing can make the difference. And he asked me, he goes, man, is it okay to die? I'm like, dude, death isn't the end. Death is just another part of the journey. So if you're tired and you want to go home, ain't no one going to tell you no. You just do what you got to do for you, right? Don't wait for others to come tell you it's okay. You do what you got to do for you. And so we do that. We have other programs. We have scholarship programs. We've got a program called, which is our peer-to-peer counseling. Okay, that's a Sherpa program. And the Sherpa is a person that brings you up Mount Everest, right? You know, and leads you up the mountain. And so what better name for that person, that guide, than a Sherpa in our program being called Sherpa. So we find and we match like individuals, a person further along on the journey with somebody just coming in on that journey. And that guide will help him along that mountain climb, okay, whilst he goes up this journey, because it is a climb up a mountain. I don't care what you're looking at. You're facing death, you're facing the inevitable, you're facing a very hard journey, and you want somebody that understands the journey that you've been on. So we match them together, and it has become a blessing for both of them, because as that Sherpa dies off, he passes up on the one behind him, and so forth. Beautiful. And then we've worked on a program, you and I, called Transformational Trek. And that is the idea of bringing terminally ill patients to the Grand Canyon and letting them hike from the North Rim to the South Rim, doing campfire, roundabouts every night, talking about what they're accomplishing, what it makes and what it feels like for them. And that's going to advance into some other programs that you'll eventually get to, do with the organization as well. So, we just, there's not enough that I can say about what this organization has grown to. We've helped we're over 13,000 people now that we've assisted in the last 2 years.